Hashem Nasev Nasliach. We're here for Kol Chatzot for Parshas Vayetze. I've been doing HaChaim HaKadosh the last few weeks, and I was trying to understand why I love learning his parish so much. And someone mentioned that HaChaim was Mashiach ben Yosef, and the Baal Shemtov was Mashiach ben David, and they had this beautiful relationship. And so I looked it up, and sure enough, there's these stories. So I found this on crownheightsinfo.info, and it's the story about the HaChaim HaKadosh and Baal Shem Tov. So HaChaim HaKadosh was Nistalek in 5503, which was 1743. Here's a few stories that demonstrate the unique relationship he had with the Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov attempted to travel to Eretz Yisrael just to meet with the HaChaim. The Baal Shem Tov explained that the two of them have different parts of Mashiach's neshama, and if they met, Mashiach will come and redeem the Jewish people. As is known, Hashem prevented them from meeting, and the Baal Shem Tov was stranded on an island until he was able to board a boat that took him back to Turkey. He then celebrated Pesach in Istanbul, where he saved the Jews from a terrible disease. We should note that his brother-in-law, Reb Gershon Kitover, did meet with the HaChaim. The Baal Shem Tov spoke in such glowing terms of the greatness of the HaChaim that his Talmud, the Tzaddik Reb Pinchas Koritzer, instructed his sons and grandsons, the owners of the Slavita press, to print a Chumash with his explanation and reprint it every year. After numerous reprintings, they realized that they have numerous copies available, so they decided not to reprint it again one year. Rather, they would make an effort to distribute what they had to more communities. That is the year they were arrested. It is interesting to note that he wrote this explanation while he was teaching his daughters the Chumash, so it was written for them. Therefore, I will mention by paraphrasing one thought of his on this week's parsha. The pasuk says, "V'lo ruah umo b'Yisrael," and Shem did not see toil in Israel. The question is in the Talmud states, "We toil and they toil. We toil and receive a reward, and they toil, yet they don't always receive a reward. So how can he say there is no toil?" He explains, obviously there is toil, as a person was created to toil. However, normally when one is toiling on a task, they tire and sometimes even resent it. However, when a Jew toils in Torah or in their communal involvement, there are no signs of the toil. It is done with such love, enthusiasm, and enjoyment that as difficult as it may be, there is no tiring or hard feelings. It is a bliss and a wonderful experience. It is said that on the Shabbos of his Histalkus, after the Baal Shem Tov washed his hands for the third meal of Shabbos and said the bracha of Hamotzi on the challah, he said to his students, "The light in the west stopped shining." At that time, the students didn't understand what he meant, but on Motzei Shabbos, he explained that the great tzaddik, HaChaim ben Itar, was Nistalek. His students asked him, "Rebbe, how did you know?" And he replied, "There's a special kavana, thought, connected to washing the hands, and it was given to the HaChaim. However, today, when I washed my hands for the third meal, I felt it, so I realized that what has happened." I once heard a slightly longer and different version of this episode. While the great sage, Rabbi Chezkel Halevi Landau, known as the Noda B'Yehuda, who was an opponent of the Baal Shem Tov, his daughter was a follower of his. It just happened that she came to the Baal Shem Tov for that Shabbos, and after Shabbos, the Baal Shem Tov ripped his garment, as a student does when his Rebbe is Nistalek. Sometime after she returned home, the horrible news of his Nistalek arrived in Prague. Her father, who was the Av Beis Din, lamented over the tremendous loss, and she felt that now was an opportune time to demonstrate to her father the greatness of the Baal Shem Tov, how he sensed it right away and didn't have to wait until a traveler from Eretz Yisrael informed him. Hearing what happened, the Noda B'Yehuda exclaimed, "Now you see why I oppose him. One is not permitted to rip their garments unless they hear or see it in actuality. One cannot do so because of divine inspiration. You see clearly he did not follow the halacha." When the Baal Shem Tov was informed of the Noda B'Yehuda's argument against him, he replied, "The halacha is clearly as he stated. However, what was I supposed to do, as I was standing right next to him? So yes, I did follow the halacha."
Wow, interesting.
So he was so close to him, even though they were thousands of miles away, but he knew immediately
That's
when
what
he
the
was
tzaddikim
nurtured.
are. Yeah, they nurture.
Yeah.